Hello, my loves. This is Heidi Raquel with your May soul message for 2021. This one is titled Ready to Soar. And we had the full moon in Scorpio earlier today, so I'm still in a little bit of that energy, but it's so close to the beginning of the month that we are really ready to go. And as I'm looking out the window here, we just put bird seed out and there are tons of birds out. I'm like, oh, perfect timing for talking about flight. It's really, when I was doing the full moon in Scorpio today, there was a lot of tenderness coming up. And so being in that energy still as I'm writing the May message, I can feel a little bit of that. But what's really happening is there's, I guess the word that would best describe it is congruency. There's this sense of tenderness and we're weaving. So remember, April was weaving anew, and the energy that was coming in for that was the call to start building our life from the inside out. So it's like, we're at the center of our circle, and the circle, if you just imagine that, is our life and our energy field. And it's, we're being called to become more and more honest about what that looks like. What is in the circle? What is not in the circle? Do we have things that are present in our life that aren't supporting us, that aren't helping us have the life that we want? Are they, a drag on our ability to fly? And are there things that aren't there as well, things that we need to cultivate and hone and display even in our home? Today I talked a lot about the life-changing magic of tidying up, the beauty of Marie Kondo. And there's that energy here that is like a tenderness of being able to see all of it at one time. And, like you take all your clothes out of the closet and you lay them there, and then you have to see, whether it's like a massive pile of stuff that you don't even like, or, whatever the thing is, but you're forced to look at it all at once. And there's that sense. And so there's a tenderness here, but it's really about getting honest with yourself and letting people be who they are and letting you be who you are. And what that means is, I heard Chani Nicholas use this term last week in her astrology report, and it was breaking up with people pleasing. And I was just like, oh my God, yes, and all of that. So it's that kind of energy. It's like as you start to weave your life from the inside out, and you're using intention and you're using attention and you're using tools like meditation and grounded practices, and you're being honest with yourself about what lives in your life, then you start noticing what it is that you're weaving, and you only want to weave in reverence. Like, why would you want to weave old tools or old relationships or old situations or old jobs? So there's a tenderness, because as you start to weave your life in a more intentional, grounded way that's balanced and it starts to feel good, then it starts to become very apparent in an uncomfortable way, what is there that isn't serving you. And you've got to root it out. You really have to come into balance with yourself, because what happens is you start looking at your life and going, okay, well, all this stuff is here because I allowed it to be here. So if I allowed it to be here, why did I allow it to be here? And then there's the looking at the darkness that lives in the shadows of your psyche. That's like, hey, I am not creating the life that I want, but somehow I'm allowing it. So there's a challenge in that, because you have to look at it, right? You have to be honest with yourself in order to change it. But there also is a beauty in that, because you have ownership over that. And So this ready to soar is like we've done the work kind of in the underpinnings or the underworld, and we're starting to come up now from the ground, and we're pulling up who we truly are, our authenticity, our authentic self and our nature. And as we start rooting out the things that don't work anymore, the home where we live energetically, physically, whatever, begins to widen. There's more space there. So there's more space for you, there's more space for your light, there's more space for the honest quality relationships, the job that actually does suit you, the hobby that actually does suit you. All of those things start coming in, and it's like a puzzle piece that starts coming together. But the importance around the title Ready to Soar, and why I chose that title when I tuned in for May, I was seeing that because there's this level of ease that's coming in now. And it doesn't mean, if you're hang gliding, like imagine that you're hang gliding, it's not that it's easy. You still have to hold on. You still have to build muscle. You have to build agility. You have to build, strength. But the wind is carrying you, much like a bird that is, flying. That's why I've got my bird ring on today. And so there's an ease that comes in. So it isn't that it's not difficult, because there is this level of grit that I'm feeling that's like, and I've also got my courage necklace on for that reason, because there's this courage, this will that we're being asked to pull up from the ground and bring up. So a great example of this is I was writing the blog that goes with this, and my 16-year-old daughter, who got her driver's license 3 days ago, asked me if she could drive to the store by herself. And she's done it one other time. But it was interesting because it was during the mentorship this weekend. And, so it's like I was on a break. I didn't really have a lot of time to think about it. So I had to just say, yes, okay, go. And so this is what I'm talking about. It's like there's a white knuckling that is, I know this is the right place to lean. I know that letting her soar, letting her come into who she is, letting herself to begin to start adulting and loosening the reins that I have on her is appropriate and right timing. But it doesn't mean that it isn't still challenging. So it's a both and energy. And we're really, to go back to what Channing Nicholas was talking about, the breaking up with people pleasing, like we just cannot fill in the blanks for other people anymore. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to do the work for other people, or to, another metaphor is like building a bridge in order to make the relationship work. If you're the only one that's building the bridge to make the relationship work, then the relationship doesn't work. And there's no reason to try to do that. It's much kinder, although painful, to let go of that work, to be on your side of the shore, and to meet someone halfway if they're willing to go there. But to build the whole bridge is to say that your energy and your time don't matter, and that therefore you don't matter. And it's not holding reverence for yourself. So there really is this bitterness, this bittersweet, like kind of tenderness here. And there's a beauty. It's a both and. It's like they're sitting side by side. There's a loving what is, to use, Byron Katie's term. It's like there's a beautiful example in that book. She talks about someone that worked for her firing themselves. She said, she was doing like an exit interview with them or something, and asking them about, what it was that they did in their work. And they had to admit that they weren't doing their job. And so she was saying, she didn't fire anyone. They fired themselves because they didn't show up. They didn't do the job. They didn't do the work. And that is the loving what is. And that's the energy that we're in. So there's an ease that's coming in. There's a floating, because when you, to use the metaphor that I used in the moon ceremony today, when you are standing in the river and you're damming it up because you're trying to control it, you're trying to manipulate it, you're trying to do something, it's causing you suffering, and it's causing everything and everyone suffering. And the call is to get out of the river and let the river flow. The river already knows what it's doing. Your breath already knows what it's doing. Your heartbeat already knows what it's doing. There's a natural rhythm and occurrence and a cadence that's already here in life. And we have to just get the hell out of the way and let it happen. But it's like we're so afraid. I think a lot of this comes from being afraid of the feminine. We've been taught to be afraid of the feminine, the mystery, the dark, the unknown. And so we try to cling to knowing, which is a complete joke because we never know anything. We can have direct experience about something and say, that was my experience, but it can always change. The experience can always change. A friendship can change, a relationship can change, a job can change, your home can change, your health can change, all these things. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. I've had an autoimmune disorder that I was diagnosed with after my daughter was born, and she's 16 now. I'm 16 years older, but I'm much healthier than I was back then. Because I took up all kinds of practices, walked away from Western medicine for the most part, and took up natural healing and the use of essential oils, diet, exercise, meditation, all of that kind of stuff, mindfulness, and it's different for everybody. You have to do what works for you. But when you live in right relationship with yourself, there's an ease that comes, and that's really what I'm getting at. So the couple things that I suggested for this month, meditation, I mean, forever and always, because it helps you calm the mind and get grounded in your body and get grounded in that sense of what is and not trying to grab, There's been this kind of addictive energy that's been up lately, that it's like we're trying to hurry up and fill the space or do something, and it's not working. And, it doesn't work anyways, but it's like we're doing it anyway, and then we feel a sense of dissatisfaction after, and then it's like, ugh, well, that didn't work. And it's just showing us over and over again, it's not working. We gotta get off this ship. The other thing is to just root out what isn't working, whether it's your diet or your exercise or lack thereof, or your friendships aren't rewarding, or your job isn't rewarding. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Is it your doctor? Is it your bank? Is it your political leaning? Whatever it is, it's just hey, is that working? And being boots on the ground, honest with yourself about it. There's no reason to hide and to pretend anymore. It isn't bringing us to a place of balance. It's not working. So, all right, let's see what the card is, and then I'll talk about the oil for the month, which is so perfect. Let's see if we get the same. Oh, interesting. Okay, I was like, wouldn't that be funny if we got the same card that we got in the moon ceremony today? All right, let me find this. I think this is in the places suit. Sorry, it's always hard to find these on camera because you got to know your Roman numerals, man. Got to know your Roman numerals for this. Okay, the fault line, the fissure, the crack, the weak link. Imagine walking across a frozen lake that begins to crack before your eyes. No matter how optimistic and brave you might be, panic ensues. There's the white knuckling. You become fearful and tense and long for stable ground. Such is the energy of the fault line. It's the energy of walking on eggshells, of precarious dynamics, of sensing what is ready to break open into chaos. It's likely this cracking open is overdue, as fault lines develop slowly and naturally from underlying elemental pressures. This card comes as a potent warning not to deny the shakiness that's afoot. It's much better to prepare yourself for change than to walk along the fault line pretending all is well. See, this is the lying to yourself thing. There is no easy fix for the situation at hand. It will require a foundational shift that alters the current dynamics from the ground up. I mean, this is it right here. When light, redefining reality, breaking open. When dark, precariousness, pretending delusion. Go deeper, dance to everything is broken, by Bob Dylan. Let's see the items on the side. It is possible that something a loved one said caused a crack in your relationship that has never been mended. Revisit it. The time to heal is nigh. In Japanese, kintsugi, suji pottery. I've not heard of that. Gold is used to mend cracks. Breaks are thought of as precious rather than something to be hidden. Well, there it is. That's the both and, right? The gold in the honesty, in honoring what is. You know, we're at this critical time in history where the old structures ain't working. We've known that for a long time, but it's getting to the point where it's just absurd to pretend anymore that any of the structures that are supposed to be supporting us, that by the way we are paying for with our tax dollars, they're not working. And, you know, you can look around very easily and see that things are not equal. And why are we allowing that? Why, you know, we got to make changes, and it requires the courage and the depths of looking into your own roots, because you can't do anything about what anybody else's choices are. You can only focus on, and you only have agency over your own. So there you go. Okay, oil for the month, patchouli. Okay, so for those of you that, well, anyone pretty much, even if you don't know anything about essential oils, most people know about patchouli, and most people have a stereotype of like, oh, patchouli is the hippie oil. Yes, I went to school in Eugene. You couldn't walk down the street without smelling patchouli. However, now that I understand more about the properties of essential oils, and I understand more about the properties of patchouli, patchouli is the oil of physicality. So it is about being rooted in your body, as in meditation, so that you can be steady, grounded, calm, present, to be able to receive spiritual insight and wisdom, to hear the sound of your own voice, to hear the sound of your own calling, your longing, your nudge. Where do you need to go? So perfect oil for meditation, but you can use it anytime, anywhere. And it's a great oil to diffuse if you don't necessarily want to wear it on you. I think it's delicious, but if you don't want to wear it on you, you can diffuse it. And one of my favorite blends is to do patchouli with, you could do it with any citrus oil, but I usually do it with wild orange, and I call it Woodstock on the beach. Because you've got, you know, the hippie Woodstock, but then you've got the orange that makes it like the Sex on the Beach cocktail. But you could use any citrus, lime, lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, any of those things. Actually, grapefruit would be a great combo, because that's also about honoring the body. So in the last, I'm kind of all over the place here because I haven't finished the blog. So allow me to add one more item for something to work on. And that is that sense of physicality, physical exercise, getting in your body, because there's an energy of needing to pull that energy up from the root. And that's about, it's almost like we're learning to walk the tightrope again, and or ever, and learning to trust the physicality, trust our own bodies, trust our own wisdom and our sense and our presence. So anyways, if you're not a current doTERRA customer, you can easily become one. You can find, there's an oils link in my bio on Instagram. There's an apothecary link. I just added it on the homepage of my website under services. It's one of those squares. You can just click on the apothecary link, and it will take you to my doTERRA page. So if you're not a current customer, you can easily become one. You can become a retail customer if you just want to order the one oil, which happened a lot last month with Whisper. I hope that was supportive for people. It's really a really fabulous oil. Or you can become a wholesale member for $25 for the year. You can get everything at wholesale, and then you can also become a loyalty rewards program member, which is like a frequent flyer mile for oils, and you earn points, and then you can buy oils with the points in subsequent months. So it's really great. If you become a lover of essential oils and you want to do it, it's kind of silly not to, because why would you not take free points? All right, my dears, I love you. You know, it doesn't come without challenge this month, but it's a different kind of challenge. It's like, you know, running the marathon and the feeling of completion as you cross the finish line, but also your body is exhausted. But your body is exhausted and you've crossed the finish line because you've put everything that you are into that goal, into that thing that you want to do, become, have, build. And that's what's being called for this month. Is like, get really clear and honest with yourself about who you are, where you want to go, how you want to get there, so that you can start putting the building blocks in place. We talked a lot about that in the mentorship this weekend, which is closed now that it's begun, but I am starting to take a wait list for next year. So the program goes through the end of December, so I won't offer it again probably until next April 2022, but there is a wait list link on my website under the events tab if that interests you. But we talked a lot about intention and attention, and those two things being really powerful gifts that you have, that if you can learn to wield, they become very powerful tools in your tool belt. All right. Love you much. Have a blessed month. I wish you well. Namaste.